Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today, and we're taking a look at all the market action this Tuesday. Let's take you through all the key factors at play. Right now, what we're seeing overnight, first of all, Dow has snapped a 5-day winning streak. There's a big slump on crypto that seems to be weighing on sentiment. Let's look at this a little deeper there. Few cuts coming in. S&P down 0.5%, Nasdaq, Dow's actually down 1% right now. Bitcoin has gone down 5% to about 86.8 at this point of time. Crypto names like Coinbase, MicroStrategy, they've actually tumbled in trade. Broadcom about 4%, Supermicro, profit taking hitting all the AI favorites now as well. Retailers, Ultra and Walmart, however, have seen some amount of gains as the holiday spirit ramps up. So that's really what's happening on the index side. On central banks, markets are seeing an 87.6% chance that the Fed will cut rates. We're watching out for December 10th. And traders are pricing in a possible rate hike from the Bank of Japan. A slide in the yen to 10-month lows last month are strengthening that case. And Japan, as we know, has been an anomaly as opposed to everything else we've been seeing on Wall Street and Asia. Other asset classes, Brent at $63.8 a barrel, and the dollar index currently at 99.48. Gold has hit a 6-week high, and the US 10-year yield is at about 4.09%. Now, on the currency, we will, of course, watch that keenly for you. Let's pull up the rupee because yesterday we saw that sharp tumble coming in. Let's see if we're continuing to see that at this point of time. And Brent also important because we've been seeing a softening on that front. And there are actually a whole host of brokerage views coming in on the outlook on OMCs in light of that as well. So we'll keep an eye on both of these. Let me also welcome in Shell, who's with us as always. And remember, of course, yesterday, while there was stiff resistance at higher levels, not much of a reaction on those GDP numbers. However, we did see the markets manage to withstand any cuts on the downside as well. Shell, as we head into Tuesday, what will we watching out for today? And on the currency, just to mark it, it's opened at 89.7 versus 89.55.
Good morning to everyone. We are just watching a consolidative volatile phase on the Nifty, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday is also the FNO expiry on the weekly side as far as the main index Nifty is concerned. You've got a lot of supply coming in at 26,300. So it's more or less a sideways to consolidative phase. 26,100, 26,040, 50 should hold, although you see it at 111 points down on the pre-open, so things are not looking good for bulls at the initial part of trade. However, auto and IT stocks are in top shape. Very, very strong follow-throughs happening in terms of auto sales numbers, and therefore strength coming in there. Lots of bearish crossovers also happening in sectors such as mobility, such as digital space. So that is something on the shorter side, but weakness in power, in hotels and industrial stocks, and of course you have a pain point in the form of a weekly expiry. So 26,050, 26,100 should hold Aabha.
Okay, so still trending sideways. A whole host of brokerage views coming in. HSBC on OMC saying that global oil and gas markets are likely to enter a surplus in 2026. They are saying that this has been much awaited by India. They've got a buy call on GAIL, a hold call on Petronet LNG, and a target price at 320 on Petronet, and a reduce on ONGC. That's the view coming in from HSBC. They've also got a buy call on Dr. Reddy's as well. But I just want to focus on the OMC bunch for a moment. Can we expect some kind of a pickup there as well today, Shell? Because we have seen brief bursts of action building up.
Aabha, there is nothing much happening on the long side. I would rather just wait for this volatile phase, this consolidative phase to sort of pass through. If the oil prices are not firming up, then obviously OMCs are a trade on the long side. But like I said, the moment you buy, the stock starts to collapse. So there's nothing much in terms of long side trades except for auto and IT. I just rather stick my neck there only.
Okay. Nomura is also saying that they're looking at a re-rating on banks from margin pressure to earnings momentum, improving ROAS and strong EPS CAGR. So they're looking at a re-rating and looking particularly at Axis, ICI, and SBI, so all the frontline names clearly. On AMCs, they're saying that equity and passive flows are to drive industry AUM growth. Operating profitability should remain stable. Premium valuations are likely to sustain. They prefer a Nippon Life India AMC and an HDFC AMC. So those are some of the brokerage views coming in this morning. Let's take a look at those auto numbers because we've seen some phenomenal numbers coming in. Yesterday, of course, we were tracking Tata Motors as well as Maruti, and I know Maruti is always on Shell's radar because it's really been seeing huge performance on the back of the consumption boost. Hero has of course reported a very strong number as well. Total dispatches up 31%. So seeing a really good beat on estimates, saying that post-festive demand, supportive sentiment, traction for new models have driven growth. And remember, Hero is up about 4% for the week. And remember, most of these companies are entering an era where there's going to be a slew of launches, whether it's Maruti, whether it's Tata Motors. So Hero there and Bajaj Auto. I think Bajaj also has now come in with record numbers. And I'm just trying to pull those numbers up there. Pretty much profits, revenue, operating margins, everything's at record highs right now. A lot of traction coming in from Latin America. And it's leading the EV space as well as the three-wheeler space. So looking good there on a Bajaj as well. The stock, however, has not really budged. So from a stock performance point of view, I think your Hero and from the two-wheeler space and others like a Tata, Eicher have been standing out, Shell. But if we just take a look at closely at the numbers from the auto pack, all of them are encouraging.
Absolutely, Aabha. It's a sectoral move that's happening. Look at Ashok Leyland, 160 at a fresh record high. Look at the strength that is coming in auto ancillaries. You have FEM Industries looking good. Look at how move is coming in Sona Comstar. There is enough activity on the long side there. And of course, who can miss out the fabulous rally on the internet side in car trade. So across the board, frontline OEMs, whether two-wheelers or four-wheelers or commercial vehicles, are at record highs. Strong AMCs, strong auto ancillaries in the mid-cap space, and the internet space as far as auto is concerned is buzzing with green and long side trade. Aabha.
Okay, you mentioned auto, and you also mentioned and one other pocket that you expected to see in traction today, IT, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. I also want to pull up
Yes.
hotels because you said that hotels are correcting. Yesterday we had news that perhaps they'd get infra status and
Yes.
looking forward to that. Indian hotels this morning, bit of news coming and they're in a massive expansion. They're continuing there. They've also acquired 51% stake in Pride Hospitality and Ank Hotels. That's an investment of about 80 crores and 100 crores respectively. Um, uh, Adding over 140 mid-scale hotels under the Clark's Hotel and Resorts brand. So they're in a massive expansion, Shell. And it's not just Indian hotels. Of course, we're seeing some of the smaller pockets too, like a Lemon Tree, etc., that have also been declaring additions to their portfolio. But I think IHCL is at another level altogether.
Absolutely, Abba. But you see, massive expansion causes two things: no, higher debt or higher borrowings. Look at Indian hotels; it was at 886 in December of 2024, and it slumped to 743 in early part of November. So these are small rallies that are happening, but the overall feel for mid caps and small caps is the moment you see a nice 10 odd percent bounce from an intraday, or sorry, from an intra month or a long monthly chart, you will see selling pressure coming in. None of these stocks are cheaper by any stretch of imagination. September 21, Indian Hotels was at 154 rupees. September 24, it was at 850 rupees. So it's a 7x rally. That rally has to be digested. And that's what is happening in the mid cap and small cap space. Aabha.
Okay, let's, yesterday we were talking about Vedanta. Let's pull up Vedanta again, Shell, because of course, attracting a lot of brokerage analysis as well in terms of outlook and what could be potentially the next move there. Parents outlook revised now by S&P Global Ratings. They're also looking at it positively. What's the latest there? Let's just recap that for our viewers. It's trading at about 530 right now.
Yeah, I would imagine that Vedanta is running ahead of its demerger into 6 companies, and this is what will happen in the next 18 months. See, Vedanta is demerging because it's heavy on debt. So, what will happen is out of these 6 companies that will form a part of the new Vedanta, one of them will be sold. This is my gut feel, and that will take care of debt. So, a lot of money has been made in Vedanta over the last 6 months or so. In March, the stock was at 277 rupees, right? In April of 2024. So from 277 rupees, you have 530 rupees in a market that has gone nowhere. So that's the strength that is coming in on hopes of a very strong reduction in outstanding debt as far as Vedanta is concerned. Therefore, all dips are being purchased. Aabha.
All right. Let me also welcome in Prashant, who's joining us on the show today. Let's get in his views as well on markets and how they stand. Prashant Apse from Mehta Equities. Prashant, good morning. How are you? And let's take a look at where you feel the markets stand, given that we've really been stuck in a sideways range for a while, but this time with a little bit of downward pressure.
Yes, good morning, Aabha, and good morning, Shiv sir. So obviously, markets are heading towards sort of macroeconomic data. I think last 2 days we saw IIP data, GDP data, and other manufacturing data, which were not so encouraging for an equity market like us. And the GDP data, which was surprise to us on the Friday evening, has already been discounted in the markets, where markets have already touched the all-time high 26,350 or number. So I think now the party for the near term is some kind of subdued. I think markets are on the profit booking zone. And again, from like next 5 to 10 days, there are a lot of big events going to happen with respect to RBI meeting, with respect to Putin visiting India again. So that will be highly in focus. What Putin is going to do in India, I think there will be a lot of defense sector focused momentum which can be seen in the coming few days. So overall markets are under pressure. Profit booking zone can be seen. Psychological level of 26,000 can be a level one can wait and watch. Any close below this will be a selling pressure in the market.
All right. Okay. In terms of sectors to watch out for today, and we're just heading to the open bell. So let me come back to you on that, Prashant, because we're just counting down to the opening bell. I think keep an eye on IT because given the currency's fluctuation. Keep an eye, of course, on auto, on banks, given the kind of rate cut hopes that are built in at this point of time. Otherwise, on the index itself, a little bit of trepidation given that Wall Street wasn't so hot last night, even though Asian markets were intact. Let's see how we open up. In just a few seconds, a whole host of various stocks and news. In fact, Tata.com will acquire 51% stake of US-based Commotion Inc. for 227 crore rupees. Commotion Inc. enables enterprises to deliver personalized, real-time customer experiences through its proprietary AI solutions. So Tata.com in the news there. Okay, index kickstarting, no major surprises. 26,127, about 0.2% lower. Nifty Banks about 0.3% lower right now. Let's pull up some of those gainers and losers for you as well. See what's happening in the market right now. On your screens, we've got Tata.com on the news, no major action coming in. Let's pull up auto, let's pull up IT. Let's also see some of the index gainers. Reliance, of course, is in the red this morning. We've got IT just about flat, so no major continuation of yesterday's buzz. Auto is slightly in the green, but again, no runaway rally. Hero's just up about 0.5% right now at Sale Tech as well. It's a very, very quiet start to the day. Ultratech, SBI, again, marginal gains coming in at this point of time. On the downside, let's pull up where we're seeing a little bit of pressure. HDFC Bank, SBI Life, Nestle, just about a 1% knock or so. Bajaj Finance there, some news in Bajaj Finance as well. That's perhaps leading to a little bit of nervousness around the counter. I'll try and pull that up for you in just a minute. We've got JSW Steel, ICICI Bank, Grasim also trending a little bit lower right now. Asian Paints holding out, IndusInd Bank holding out at this point, as is Abharti. Bajaj Housing Finance, some promoter plans to sell stake, but today it's holding fort after the cut that it saw. IndusInd also up about 0.7% right now. We'll continue to pull up some of those broader market gainers and losers for you as well. But Shell, what are you tracking?
Well, Aabha, I'm tracking weakness on weekly expiry. So 26,100 for the moment is what the bulls are trying to save. The Nifty opening 55 points lower, selling pressure on Bank Nifty as well. So that is something which is worrisome. And you have just 900 shares in the green versus 1300 in the red. So it's bears on the front foot as far as the Lal Street is concerned. There's selling pressure on financial services, on banks, on small cap indices. The only saving grace is IT, is auto, something that we've already mentioned in the early part of trade. And of course, you have a fresh record high coming on Cummins India, Muthoot Finance, and the usual suspects, Hero Motors, Laurus India. 2% stake sale in Bajaj Housing Finance at a fresh low, 9% lower, 95 rupees. This is from the parent Bajaj Finance. So that's the reason for it being the top traded counter. And of course, because money is coming into Bajaj Finance, therefore Bajaj Finance is in the green, 1023. Aabha.
Let's get a view from Prashant on the Bajaj Finance portfolio. Then first, Prashant.
I think historically Bajaj Finance has done a very great rally with respect to rewarding the investors on year-on-year basis. But the way how the AM is growing, I think there is some kind of slowdown being seen from last YOY when we compare. But again, the way how RBI has given a lot of liquidity to push the NBFC as a sector, I think Bajaj Finance being the leader in the sector can lead the sector going forward very fast. When we come to Housing Finance, again, I think it is trading at a very all-time low after the IPO, which was at 70 rupees and made a high of almost 190 plus. But now promoters selling at 95 is some kind of disheartening the investors at this point of time when the stock is trading at a lower levels, and again with a discount of 9% they are selling. So indirectly, I think the short-term trend in the housing finance will remain under pressure, and even the housing sector is consolidating at the near term. So overall, the outlook would remain very positive for Bajaj Finance, bit neutral to positive for housing finance.
Let's just look at the broader markets at this point of time. There is at the base of 26,100, fairly heavy short covering that is coming up, mostly expected on the Nifty. Let's look at stocks that are in strength as far as the index is concerned, pulled up by Infosys. As I was mentioning right through, that the IT sector looks really good. Infosys contributing 11 points in the green for the Nifty. Bharti Airtel in strength. Asian Paints, as Aabha mentioned, 1.4% higher. SBI, Maruti and L&T. So these are the winners on the index. It's being pulled down by banks. HDFC, ICICI Bank, both of them contributing about 60 points to Nifty's red stance. And in terms of volume buzzers, well, apart from Bajaj Housing Finance, it's Wockhardt Pharma still in strength, 1.5%. Aabha, Shipping Corporation 2% up, and of course strength coming into e-clerks. Aabha, what are you watching?
We've got Biocon announcing a settlement agreement with Amgen. It clears the path for commercialization of some biosimilars in Europe and the rest of the world. This will also allow the company to commercialize both the biosimilars in Europe with effect from December 2nd. So that's on Biocon for you. We'll pull it up. Indigo has also got a penalty of about 118 crores from the Joint Commission of Central Tax and Central Excise. Don't have too many more details on that right now, but Biocon's marginally higher at this point on the back of that news. Let's understand from you, Prashant, in terms of some of the pharma names. Wockhardt, of course, was news-based buying yesterday, but it was at circuit. Biocon today in the news. We've seen a little bit of action on a Glenmark, on a Natco. Anything within the pharma pack that you're looking at?
I think the sector is on a positive move. In the pack, we like granules a lot. I think with respect to price action, with respect to fundamental updates, with respect to their US FDA, which was under question from last one quarter. I think the positive news from the US FDA is on the cards. So we like granules very lot on the technical charts as well as on the fundamental basis.
Strength back in the market. Nifty now down just 36 points. This is looking to be an interesting day. Let's hope that the worst is behind us in terms of this selling which was coming in because of thoughts about GDP numbers not being up to the mark, although the top line number was extremely stunning. So 26,145, just 30 points lower, and the bank Nifty also showing all signs of recovering from intraday lows. It's an interesting day ahead. In terms of FNO, when you look at the top gainers, you have Power India 2% higher, 22,635. Naukri, BPCL, Industar and HPCL are amongst the top gainers. Aabha, what are you watching?
I want to get Prashant's view on some of the IT names because we have seen some amount of traction return. We know they've had a rough year, but on the back of course, a lot of re-strategizing and how they've adopted AI as well as the currency fluctuations. Again, today a 0.5% up in IT. Within the IT basket as well, Prashant, let's get your picks.
Yes, the sector is on a positive move in this very shorter period of time. I think the sector is waiting for Fed's comment in the upcoming meeting. If there is some kind of cut, I think there will be some kind of a positive momentum for the Western country clients, where they can start spending more money on the IT. So overall, the trend remains very positive for me on IT space. In this space, I think Wipro looks very good for me at this point of time, both on the fundamental basis as well as on the technical charts, where Infosys and TCS are already having some kind of good move from the very recent times, but Wipro is still waiting for a great move for a short period of time. So on a trading basis as well as on the valuations, I think Wipro stands very good for me in the large cap space. In this mid cap, I think the emphasis would be the one stock one should focus more on. HCL Tech can also be a second stock one should focus on. Tech Mahindra can also be one stock one should focus on for a short period of time. So overall, the trend is very positive. We are very much optimistic on the sector.
Banks and banks all the way. Aabha, you mentioned a research report which came in from Jeffries, I think. Look at Bank of Baroda, a change in digit which is very, very rare. Now 300 rupees, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fresh record high. Last time you had seen this in June of 2024 when there was heavy selling pressure that came in, but a new phase, a new orbit and a fresh peak has been hit on Bank of Baroda, and that too at a time when the broader markets are sideways. Prashantji, what are the charts of Bank of Baroda telling you? 300.65.
Tracking this stock from last 1 week, that was the one stock. After SBI, I think Bank of Baroda was the second large company which we were tracking to build some kind of returns to my clients. Overall, I think this strength is very strong still. I think it is going to cross its 2024 number. If it closes above 300, I think there can be a good another 5 to 8% momentum from the space. I think, but PSU banks are very much in action ahead of the upcoming RBI meeting. So there is some kind of good comment being expected from the governor.
Okay, Rupee still at lows. We've got 89.85 now on the currency. Let's pull that up for you. Definitely going to see an impact of that across. So we've got the rupee also trending now at 89.85. Talking about banks, I think it was Nomura Shell that looked at a re-rating, and they're looking at Axis, ICICI, and SBI in particular. GMR Airports up nearly 2%. BofA's initiated a buy call there. Let's pull up GMR for you and take a look at it. That's an interesting one. It's been a while since we've seen action. GMR Airports for you today up a little over 1%. Quick look on the charts on that one, Prashant.
I think last 2 months the stock has really rewarded the investors from 90 to 109. I think the trend will continue to do this. There was a good breakout at the level of 104 where it has successfully closed last week on last Friday. So I think this with this trend continuing, I think 121 or 125 can be the near-term target for that. And overall, the airport numbers are getting very much positive on a month-on-month basis when we see their business updates. So very strong on this with a stop loss of 104 with a target of 120.
Let's just move into the index. Now just 31 points lower on the Nifty. So 26,100, ladies and gentlemen, for the moment has held, and that's mainly on account of a very sharp move coming in the IT sector that's keeping lots of bulls in a very happy mode, and no stopping auto. Absolutely no stopping banks. Look at Ashok Leyland, fresh record high 162 for you, actually 163. Look at Bank of Baroda that we've just discussed. Look at the strength that's coming into PNB. These are, ladies and gentlemen, low ticket, high beta items, very, very strong on the kind of numbers that they've shown, and of course the valuation metric looking extremely, extremely attractive compared with private sector banks, compared with the rest of the market. So Canara Bank 1.6% higher, PNB 1.5% higher, UCO, SBI, Central Bank all in strength, and in terms of record highs, ladies and gentlemen, Bank of Baroda now 301. Aabha, what are you watching?
Just taking a look at the overall market, it's really quiet today, Shell. And, just last week we were looking at, all the factors really stacking up and everything being conducive to the markets rallying further. But right now we're just seeing a stall. Maybe it's just ahead of all that central bank action that we're anticipating, both on the rate cut as well as, how they're looking at growth going forward. That's, perhaps something that's on their radar. Meanwhile, the currency, of course, is something that everyone's worried about, and it's continuing to trend at lower levels. Just to pull up some of the exporters perhaps and take a look at, what we might see in terms of an impact of the currency. Shell, what are you making of it? Because the trade deal, which you've been watching out for the last 2 weeks, is still not really taken place.
Aabha, all of us have been watching the trade deal for the last 8 months. Nothing is happening there. Once it happens, we'll report to our audience. But it is a fact, and people can write this down somewhere. If the rupee is at a record low or weakening, there is no chance in hell that the Nifty will make a fresh high. So first, we have to sort out the rupee. Once the rupee is sorted, only then can you expect some sanity to come back into the equity market. What is also happening, Aabha, is the unraveling of perhaps the fear of unraveling of the yen trade. Just look at the Japanese 10-year yield, now almost at 1.9%. This is the highest since June 2007-2008, when the global financial crisis struck. So this is what is worrying. Remember, you mentioned Bitcoin at 86,000. Well, that's the reason the risk of trade is coming off the hinge, because Japan was the source of cheapest finance globally for all speculative assets, and that's the reason why you see all of them going down. AI trade, Nasdaq, Dow, Bitcoin, all sorts of cryptocurrency, and of course the rally in gold and silver. So pain is coming. That's why a record high on silver. That's why gold in strength. And that's why the risk of trade is coming, because Japanese yields are rising. That's the key. If you track that, you know what to make sense out of it. Aabha.
Playing spoil sport is what I say, Shell. That's what it's. That's what they're doing. The overall mood of the market. Prashant, thanks so much for joining us this morning. I think we have Arpit joining us as well. Let's welcome him in. It's seeing select action. Natco, we have seen. Asian is holding strong this morning. We've got banks, of course, like we've been talking about. Union Bank is seeing a decent amount of an up move coming in right now. BPCL is holding strong too, even though Shell saying not much of action expected there, but the OMCs are definitely buzzing, Shell, on those crude prices. Arpit, good morning. How are you viewing the market trajectory right now?
Very good morning. So yesterday we've seen new life highs in Nifty, Bank Nifty, and the mid cap index. But if we see, surprisingly, the pause is seen at the higher levels. So yesterday also we had a quite a dull session, and today also after a dull opening, a very stock specific action we have seen in last couple of sessions. So for first, particularly if we talk about Nifty, so Nifty the range has shifted from higher from 25,700 to 25,950 to on the lower band, on the upper band 26,350, 26,500 levels. So our sense is that the weekly time frame, the structure is positive. However, momentum is missing at the higher levels. So I think looking at the price structure and the daily structure, index is likely to consolidate between 26,050 to 26,250 for the expiry day point of view. Positionally, 25,950 is the major support zone. Till it holds above that, our stance would be positive positionally. But in the meantime, the whipsaw can be seen within this range between 26,000 to 26,350. If we talk about Bank Nifty, so Bank Nifty also we have seen yesterday new life highs of 60,114 mark. But post that we have seen some profit booking, from the higher levels, particularly HDFC Bank. If we see Bank Nifty structure also, weekly setup is strong. Weekly structure, the higher highs, higher lows formation is intact, but on the daily scale, it has taken a pause near 55 to 50 levels. So today, after a gap down opening, we have seen some support near 55 to 50 levels. So Bank Nifty also says that Bank Nifty is likely to trade between 59,200 to 16,000 levels. And interestingly, PSU banks and the mid cap banks are seeing traction. So index is likely to consolidate, but we are going to see good action in the stock specific and sector specific action going forward.
Aabha, I think Bajaj Housing Finance is something that needs to be marked for all those people, wanting to make a portfolio for the longer term. This is an opportunity to add a superb quality stock at an all-time low, where financials and quarterly numbers have gained strength sequentially as well as year on year. There is an event which is Bajaj Finance, the parent raising stake by selling a 2% stake. As a consequence, housing finance is available at an all-time low. Remember, this was a blowout IPO. It got listed at 160, touched 190, and is now available at 95. Control your fear and probably add some to your long-term portfolio in a staggered fashion. Please also consult a financial advisor before you do that. Aabha.
Auto, of course, is buzzing. We've been looking at auto ancillary, and I think, of course, we've seen Mothers and Sumi come up, but there have been a lot of other auto anch names as well, tire names that have also been catching our eye. When do you see some of those start to see some traction, Arpit? What's looking good on your charts?
If you see, overall auto index has been a huge outperformer. So broadly it has moved in line with the Nifty index, and if you see Nifty auto is also a life high territories. So definitely a lot of actions seen within the auto bag. First pick would be from the auto space would be Ashok Leyland. So if you look at the chart setup of Ashok Leyland, a very strong setup on the monthly time frame. Weekly setup would give a range. They got about 153 levels. Yesterday there was some pause, but the uptrend is intact. Today we have again see higher high structure and range break out about 162 levels. So I think positionally we can see good move towards 175, 180 levels going forward with a 1 to 2 months time frame. Along with the second would be from the four-wheeler space would be M&A. So M&A, if we see the structure on the monthly scale, slowly, steadily the stock is moving higher. So on the weekly scale, it gave a range breakout above 3,700 levels after 3 weeks. Though on the daily scale, it is moving in a band. But the good part is that the base of the stock is shifting higher, and we can see positioning 3,900, 4,000 on the cards. Along with the third counter would be from the two-wheeler space would be TVS Motor. So TVS Motor also yesterday after a good set of numbers, very strong setup on the monthly time frame, weekly setup, lower rise negation, range breakout above 3,600 levels. From here on, we can expect good 6 to 8% rally towards 3850 levels. So Ashok Leyland, M&M, and TVS Motor would be a preferred pick within the auto space going forward, where we can see outperformance going forward.
Tell the rupee is at an all-time low now, 89.85, now 89.75. It's just been plummeting since yesterday. Remember the last shock we had was about 2 weeks ago, and now again plummeting since yesterday at 89.75. We're tracking 90 on the rupee now.
Absolutely, Aabha. But what's good? A falling rupee is good for IT stocks.
Anyway, IT
I
is
would
the
look at
only thing that's
TCS
moving today.
very, very aggressively.
Only thing that's
Where
moving.
I told you, look
I
at
think
ITs, look at TCS, look at Emphasis. These are two stocks that deserve mention and need to be looked at. And what's also, the fall in the rupee has done is braked the upward momentum of the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. So we had seen 26,145 on the index. It's now 26,115, and we had seen somewhere like 59,650 on Nifty Bank. That's slipped. So that's how important the rupee is, and that's how the weakness is percolating in the market. But maybe Arpit can comment on Emphasis and TCS.
But definitely, if you see overall Nifty IT index, if you see the structure of last 3 weeks, slowly, steadily, we have seen good recovery from the index levels from 35,000 to 37,000. Now, if you look at the chart structure of Emphasis, so particularly till the last month, it was more broadly in a sideways trend, but slowly, steadily on the weekly scale, the stock is slightly moving higher. However, if you look at the bigger structure, the stock major resistance is around 29,000, 2920, 2950 levels. So till there, we can see an upside towards 2920, 2940 levels. Along with that, if you look at the chart structure of TCS, if you see the chart structure of TCS, the stock is still relatively underperforming. Whereas in the 90 index, we have seen good action in selective mid-cap counters such as Persistent, Coforge. But if you look at the chart structure of TCS, bigger hurdle would be around 3180 levels. And a sense that once that level is surpassed, so definitely short-term bottom would be in place in TCS. But till then, our sense is that the stock is likely to consolidate between 3080 to 3180 levels going forward.
Okay, the rupee is actually one of Asia's worst performing currencies this year. I just want to underline and underscore this. This is despite strong domestic fundamentals. And in fact, we've had the central bank intervene at various points, which is why we're all watching out for Friday to see what they do this time around. But little respite for the currency. This is an impact, of course, on import hedging due to the trade deal, and that continues to actually sort of remain as a dark cloud when it comes to the currency. We haven't had complete closure on that as yet. So that's really what's happening there. As Shell said, immediate impact being seen on banks as well. Despite the fact that the other domestic triggers seem to be strong, we are definitely seeing an impact both on numbers this time around, as well as, of course, the import hedging impact. So that's why we're seeing the rupee fall even lower this time, post the monthly numbers coming in. FIs, remember, have also pulled out a fair amount this year, and despite a brief uplift in the month of, just between mid-October-ish to mid-November, again, heading into December, we're seeing a slowdown there. And therefore, India's merchandise trade deficit has hit an all-time high in October. That's what's happening on the rupee, and the outlook's not looking pleasant either. Arpit, give us some of your top picks as we sort of take a look at the broader market. Where are you seeing some bright spots?
So first would be the flavor of sector, that is the IT sector. So if you look at the overall IT sector, certain pockets are outperforming stupendously. So if you look at it from the IT index, though IT index is slowly starting to gain traction, but Persistent is a preferred pick within the IT sector. So a very strong setup on the monthly time frame, forming higher rise, higher low structure. On the weekly scale, from last 4 weeks, the structure is intact. Daily scale, slowly steady, the stock is moving close to its previous all-time high. So I think Persistent is the one counter that we can expect a good rally towards 6,800, 7,000 levels positionally. Along with that, within the similar space would be second pick would be Coforge. So Coforge also has been very much resilient, where we have seen brutal selling in the IT stocks in the last 6 months. But Coforge also is forming a nice pattern on the monthly scale, and I think a sense about 1950 closing. Definitely, the stock can head towards new life high trades towards 2,100 levels. Apart from that, if you see particularly mid-cap banks have been the flavor, and if you look at the chart structure of Federal Bank. So Federal Bank has seen a good momentum when it crosses year around 20 to 30 levels, and since then the stock has been slowly steadily moving higher. So I think Federal Bank also looks good for next 5 to 7% upside towards 270 to 75 levels here on. Along with the second from the similar space would be City Union Bank. So where we have seen Bank Nifty has been trading in a range, but mid cap banks are outperforming. City Union Bank also a very strong setup on the weekly setup, almost on the verge of a pole and flat breakout on the daily setup. So slowly, the stock can head towards 300 levels from here on. So these are the couple of ideas that we are on radar going forward.
Right. I'd just like to mark a very interesting trade that Aabha, you and I had discussed in October. This was the ITBs, the Nippon India ITBs ETF, which we had discussed at 33, 34 rupee levels, 35 rupee levels somewhere in October. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those who have the ability to take a certain amount of risk, in fact, there is no risk at that level, and of course, have the patience and the foresight. That's something that we had discussed at 35 rupees is now 41 rupees. And it's an ETF, which essentially means that many of its components would have given a far better 20-25% return, more than what the ETF has given. At the moment at 41, 42, and still at its 200-day, 365-day level. So this is something that you can still look into. The all-time high for this one is 49, and we are at 41. Aabha.
So talking about ETFs, Shell, Arpit, either of you, let's also talk about those gold and silver prices and what's the best way to play gold right now. Would it be through one of the financiers or would it be through an ETF?
If you see overall, particularly if we talk about the gold prices, we have seen a very sharp up move. And in fact, if we see that the same play has been seen for selective stocks also. If you look at the chart section of Muthoot Finance, so Muthoot Finance has been a classical play along with the gold rally that we have seen in last couple of months time frame. So stock moved from 2300 to almost 3800 level in last 4 to 5 months, and still now there is no stopping on the weekly or the monthly time frame analysis. So if you look at the chart structure of Muthoot Finance, definitely the rally of gold can be subsequently play along with this, and definitely you can see good upside towards 4,000, 4,200 levels positionally from here on also in Muthoot Finance. Along with that, if you look at the chart structure of Manappuram Finance, similar, though the stock is trading in on the monthly screen sideways, but the bigger trend is positive, and slowly steadily the stock can head towards 300, 320 levels. So I think to play along with the gold rally, we have to keep this certain stocks also in mind where we can take the benefit of it and we can add it to the portfolio from a 3 to 6 months perspective.
All right, Arpit, thanks so much for joining us. Shell, closing comments, and otherwise we'll regroup at 3 p.m.
Praying that 26,000 doesn't break, but the rupee is the one that's playing up, and therefore I'm a bit worried about 26,000. Let's hope it holds. And for a contra rupee trade, the IT sector beaten down black and blue over the last 18 months or so presents an opportunity for long-term buyers to get into quality stocks at very nice valuations. Ditto Bajaj Housing Finance. This is something that people will remember over the next 6 months, Aabha. But again, please consult your independent financial advisor before getting into Bajaj Housing Finance, that too in a staggered fashion. Aabha.
All right, thanks for joining us, Shell, and thank you for watching. We will, of course, see you during market closing.